Hokey Religion is an ancient weapon.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, the Star Wars podcast. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
And we're super late.
Hokey Religion is an ancient weapon, so no match for a good blaster at your side.
Hello.
Hey.
Everybody.
Sorry about that, guys. We've had some difficulty getting together to record and some equipment difficulty, but we're here recording on a different system than usual, so if it sounds weird, it's not my fault.
Suck it.
Yep. You chose to listen to this.
Through
you
the
choose
internet.
To not. So yeah, we figured we wanted to put out an episode before the movie came out. And even though we're a little over a week late, actually a week and a half late, right? Mm-hmm. At this point, we still wanted to get something out to get, the last little bit of episode 7 talk out of the way before the movie came out. And then I actually finally finished reading Aftermath. Nice. So we can finally talk about that since we've mentioned reading that book since episode 2.
Yeah. I think at the end of every episode we've said, one of us will read that by the next episode. And
yeah, we don't read that fast.
It's like 8 episodes later.
I had to go on a vacation for a week to read the book.
Your vacation wasn't just for the book, right?
No, but I spent like 3 days,
okay,
pretty much all day just reading the book.
So it might as well have been just for the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it may as well have been. There were like 2 whole days where most of the day I just sat reading, napping, reading. It was great.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
No, it was nice. So the movie comes out from the time of recording in 6 days.
Yep.
6 days from right now, we'll be in the middle of watching the movie.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. So whenever this comes out, obviously it'll be even less time than 6 days. So
right.
That's awesome and crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll be there probably around 7 a.m., something like that, at our local theater.
Our showtime is the first IMAX showing in the state of Florida.
Yep.
7 p.m. on December 17th.
Yep.
They are starting their line, or like making it available for people to line up the day before.
I talked to the guy at the theater, and he was saying it's either a day before or several days before, because
depending,
there are people actually lining up now at certain theaters.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's going to be pretty insane. We definitely won't be the first people there.
Yeah, I don't have the luxury to wait out for multiple days or even overnight, but we'll be there as soon as we can the morning of and just hang out all day.
Right. I mean, we have tickets, so we'll get seats.
Whether we're 5 feet from the screen or sitting underneath the seat, we'll be in the
It's
theater.
not good if you can touch an IMAX screen when you're seeing a movie, right?
No, because you see just like that one spot of the screen, that one pixel of the IMAX screen. That's your pixel.
All you see is this glowing light changing colors at you.
Yeah.
Basically.
So yeah, hopefully we're not too far behind in the line, but we're going to get to see it, which is pretty amazing.
Pretty sweet. I'm still kind of surprised at myself that I didn't buy multiple tickets, because I was actually planning on seeing it multiple times.
Yeah.
But I could only get the one day off of work, so.
Yeah. I mean, I'll see it again, probably in non-IMAX, because the IMAX is in 3D as well, which I want to see it in non-IMAX, non-3D.
Right.
Because 3D can be good, but not always.
Oh, I forgot that this is IMAX and 3D.
Yeah, the IMAX is only in 3D.
So yeah, we are going to need good seats then.
Yeah. The 3D isn't always that great from various angles.
From 1 pixel away.
Yeah, just that 1 pixel is really jumping out pixel. At you.
Whoa!
The colors are in my lap.
Get out of there, colors. I know you're excited, but get out of there.
With the movie coming out, I know we've mentioned before with the book release, the ebook is still coming out on the 18th with the movie. Well, officially the 18th is the release day of the movie, even though it comes out the day before, mid-afternoon. Yeah. But the book, we had mentioned that the actual print version of the book had been delayed. It's delayed now until January 5th to avoid people getting spoilers, which I still don't really get that. I mean, it's cool that they're even thinking that far into it. But if a book's on a shelf, you're only spoiled if you pick it up, look at it. It's your own fault. There's not going to be like spoilers on the cover. It's just going to say Star Wars The Force Awakens on the cover.
No, The Force Awakens? No, they could have warned me.
Yeah. It's the 7th one?
Star Wars? What?
I guess this one has wars in the
Spoiler
star.
alert.
Yeah. So, but yeah, January 5th will be when the hardcover comes out, but the ebook will be out on the day of, so I'll pick that up as well. So, I mean, there's not...
Get right in there with that sniffle.
That's good. So, I mean, there's not that much really to talk about regarding the movie. There was a new trailer, which Michael refused to watch.
Yeah, I'm done at this point. I think about a week, and I guess ever since the last episode.
It's an exclusive Chinese trailer. It came out basically a week before the movie.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, like, as of last episode, I officially decided I'm not going to read any more spoilers. I'm not going to watch any more trailers. Yeah. Yeah, I just can't. I can't do it. I just want to
I feel that way, but
I
I can't stop myself. So I still have to.
Yeah, I can't do it. I mean, I have to.
The new trailer was good. It was, like I said, it was a Chinese exclusive trailer. It really was the same scenes we've already seen, just some more dialogue within those scenes, like Kylo's monologue to the Vader helmet. There's some couple extra sentences there. A little more chat between Rey and Finn in the market on Jakku. Mm-hmm. Pretty much all the scenes we've already seen, except for a few more seconds of them. So that was kind of cool, and it gave a little more. It wasn't so much of a tease as it was like an actual. It felt more like a trailer than all the other trailers. It felt like teasers, just longer teasers.
Okay.
This one felt more like an actual movie trailer, except for the fact it's not like Terminator Genesis where it tells you the entire movie in the trailer.
Right.
It's still the same stuff we've already seen, just a little more to it, a little more meat. So it felt like a trailer.
Okay.
I liked it. It was good. It didn't make me feel like I was spoiled for anything.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 days, I'll see the whole thing.
6 days, yeah. I mean, probably starting now, I'm going to have to go dark on it because
there's going to be...
The closer it gets, the more that's going to come out.
As people are starting to see, like, early screenings and, like, exclusive stuff.
Yeah.
Or exclusive screenings, I mean, yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of spoilers coming out in the next few days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to have to just not check anything, not look at anything.
Now, since I have still been in the checking of things, something cool that happened, I think it was last week when we didn't get to record, but they put out a map of the star system.
Oh, right, yeah.
Of the galaxy. And
where was this? Was it a magazine somewhere?
I think it was part of, was it part of Empire?
Was it in one of the EW?
Or it might have been in another Entertainment Weekly magazine. But it was a small... map of the known galaxy now with where the planets are.
Yeah.
Basically the new canon galaxy map.
Yeah.
You see where Jakku is. It's outer rim planet.
Actually looking at that, I never realized how close Tatooine and Geonosis were.
Yeah.
They're like, according to that map, they're like almost right on top of each other.
Yeah, they're really close.
I never realized that before. Yeah. That's interesting.
But one interesting feature of the map is there's a point that's called Starkiller Origin. It's not a planet name.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they didn't want to give us a planet name yet. It's just the origin of where Starkiller base is. Which, if there's an origin point for something, that means something's coming out of that point. Which, like we said, the giant weapon that is Starkiller base, the weapon that kills stars. But if you look at where that is in relation to two other planets, and I'm totally losing the names like we always do when we get to record.
Two of the other planets
planets that are near the Starkiller origin.
Oh, I don't remember. Probably would have been a good idea to pull up that map since we were going to talk about it.
It would have been. You would think that.
But, we don't really think.
I'm going to pull it up right now. Hold on.
Okay.
Through the magic of editing, I found it. So in the old EW, not the magazine, in the old EU maps, the planet Ilum, which is canon from Clone Wars TV show, there was a Jedi temple on it, snow planet. Mm-hmm. That's where the younglings went to get their crystals to make their lightsabers.
It was a good episode. Tom Kenny was the robot.
It was a very good episode.
I'm just going to chew my pizza right into them.
Yeah, pizza chewing is real good for podcasting. So Ilum and two other planets kind of form a triangle. It's Dantooine and Ord Mantell. Now, if you compare that triangle to the triangle in the new map,
Yeah.
the Starkiller base origin point is pretty much in the exact same spot, give or take a little bit of movement in that triangle of Dantooine and Ord Mantell, because Dantooine and Ord Mantell are both on the new map.
Okay.
Which I don't know why they would really need to be.
Right.
I mean, they're important planets. But
Well, I mean, Dantooine was mentioned in A New Hope.
Yeah.
As that's what Leia gave out. And then was Ord Mantell ever? I don't think it.
Not that I.
Because there's the spice mines on Ord Mantell that are pretty famous.
Yeah, but as far as
and Han has a lot of history. I just can't remember if someone like maybe mentioned it in passing.
So
I don't know.
I mean, in any case, in relation to Dantooine and Ord Mantell, the Starkiller base origin point is almost exactly where Ilum is located.
Nice.
Which snow planet. There's obviously a big, almost a pool of the Force there because there's a Jedi temple with all those crystals. And if you've seen that episode of the Clone Wars, there's a lot of crazy Force stuff that happens in that temple with them trying to find their lightsabers. It's a whole journey.
That would be really awesome if that was.
So I'm wondering. I know you and I talked about this a little bit. So Ilum, if that is Ilum, I mean, it would have to be a strategic choice to put Starkiller base there, right?
Yeah, well, if it actually is Ilum, yeah, I think it would have to be related to all the Force history there. Probably, right?
Snoke had to have known that. Snoke had to have chose it based off of that, I would think.
I wonder if it's their actual, like, Snoke's base, or...
Yeah, I mean...
I don't know.
Something I was thinking about, I don't think I mentioned this to you before, but... So say they make Starkiller base, it has that trench. Obviously, it seems to be a weapon that shoots out this big red blast.
Yeah.
What if Snoke, through the Force, controls that blast and makes that come out of the planet? Like, Snoke is so powerful that he's, like, initiating that to happen, and it's not like some mechanically created. Obviously, they probably had to, build something to direct that out of the planet.
Yeah.
But what if the power of Snoke is what is behind that?
I don't know. That'd be a crazy
He's
thing.
supposed to be some, powerful, a powerful.
Is he? Would he be that powerful though?
We don't know what he is or who he is. We literally don't know what he is. I mean, all we've heard is he's over 7 foot tall and he's very, very thin.
Yeah.
And has a weird bone
Darth
structure.
Plagueis.
Darth Plagueis. I mean, it sounds so much like it could be Darth Plagueis. So yeah,
I keep thinking about that, about Snoke being Darth Plagueis, but then there would have to be so much explanation.
Probably. I mean, again, he is canon from the.
I mean, maybe not. Maybe they could just kind of leave that up to later movies to explain that, but
maybe. I mean, he is canon from the prequels.
It seems like there would have to be a lot of history at some point where that's kind of explained who he was and how he was related to Palpatine, because Palpatine mentioned him and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and all we have canon, like actual real, canon about it is that the Emperor was telling Anakin.
Right.
He wasn't the Emperor yet, but he was telling Anakin that his master had looked into trying to keep himself alive, basically.
Darth Plagueis the Wise, he called him, I think.
So, I mean, that's really all we have. We don't have the same history that we previously had, but...
Right.
And if he is Darth Plagueis, he's pretty dang powerful.
Yeah.
I don't know, but just the fact that I think it's really cool that has to be Ilum. There has to be a reason they didn't give us the planet's name yet.
Yeah.
And it has to be some strong Force activity there for it to be chosen to be Starkiller base.
Maybe. I mean, it could be that's where Snoke was just based and feels most comfortable. I don't know, most in tune with the Force. And then they built that base around him, basically. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't really know.
Maybe he's there to watch out for anyone trying to come get more crystals to make lightsabers, like to kind of have a monopoly on it over the Jedi.
It was interesting, though, how remote it was on that map.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that, there are a bunch of other planets nearby, but...
And it could not be Ilum. It could just be near
There
Ilum.
was nothing over there except Starkiller Origin Point on that map, so I wonder if that's how they've been able to stay hidden all this time.
They did have to test killing those stars. Maybe that's why it's empty.
That's why that map is so empty? They've just been destroying everything?
Test the weapon, I mean...
Yeah, maybe.
I thought that was a really cool thing that came out.
Yeah.
that's really all I've got for episode 7. As far as there's a new trailer, there's not been a lot of information, and Starkiller Base could possibly be Ilum.
I did want to say something real quick about how, in a couple of the TV spots, we see Finn at the Falcon guns, and it looks like they're on Jakku.
Yeah.
During that chase. So, if at that point Han and Chewie aren't on the Falcon yet, it's Rey piloting the Falcon.
Yeah.
And all of that crazy stuff.
You didn't see the Chinese trailer.
Is it not?
There's some conversation.
Ugh.
I can tell you. But
so
you
everyone else except me knows what's actually going on there?
You refuse to watch it. I can either tell you right now, or
no, don't tell
you
me.
Just refuse to watch it. I
Fine.
mean, it's just a conversation between the two.
I have a talking point for myself then, basically.
There's no confirmation whether she is flying the Falcon or Han's flying the Falcon. I'll tell you that. It doesn't confirm that point, but there's a conversation between Finn and Rey while running from those TIE fighters that are chasing them down.
That explains Han being there? Or?
Where she basically says that she's a pilot.
Uh-huh. Okay. How is she a pilot? She doesn't have anything...
Do you want me to just tell you those? That's like 2 sentences. Finn says something and Rey responds.
All right, fine. Tell me.
So they're running from the TIEs, like it's running through the market.
Yeah.
And he's like, where are we going to find a pilot? And she said, we've got a pilot. Now, she could be referring to herself, or she could be knowing that Han is around. So it could still go both ways to me. But the way she says it is she's referring to herself like, we don't need a pilot. We've got a pilot.
Okay.
But that's while they're running through like the market area and in the desert. Probably heading to go jack the Falcon or...
Again, why is the Falcon on Jakku?
I don't know. I mean, we could just be led to believe this whole time that the Falcon's already been on Jakku.
6 days until we have to figure all this out.
Yeah, we'll know in 6 days. But, I mean, the way that those words are, shared back and forth, that she's the pilot, basically, is kind of what it comes across as.
Interesting.
So I'm assuming she's flying the Falcon through all the Jakku area.
Okay.
Why she has the Falcon, why it's there, that there's really nothing to confirm or deny any theory with that. It's all just guessing. All of this is guessing. Yeah. Oh, what was it, last week or the week before this recording? So we finally got Lucas commenting on the age-old conversation of Han or Greedo shooting first.
Yeah. His quote.
So we're pretty much done with episode 7 at this point. We have nothing else to say about it. We're going to see it in a few days.
Well, I've already said I'm not watching anything else, so I don't have anything else to talk to you guys about.
I'm probably going to go dark on it as well. We're done theorizing. We're ready to actually see it. So moving on, like I was saying, we've got George Lucas finally chiming in on who shot first, and why he changed it. And his explanation is just so crappy. It doesn't make sense. I don't think. If you didn't see it, it was a website that he was, I guess, doing an interview for. And his response to why he changed it, basically, he said he just gave it a wider shot so you could see that Greedo actually shot first and it wasn't just Han shooting first. So, like, in his mind, I guess that is what always happened, or at least that's the way he wants it to sound.
But that's not true. I mean,
no. So his thought process was that Han Solo was going to marry Leia. And you look back and say, should he be a cold-blooded killer? Because I was thinking, mythologically, should he be a cowboy? Should he be John Wayne? And I said, yeah, he should be John Wayne. And when you're John Wayne, you don't shoot people first. You let them have the first shot. It's a mythological reality that we hope our society pays attention to. Since when does John Wayne not shoot first?
Well, I don't watch John Wayne movies. I watch Clint Eastwood movies, but... 2 things here.
There's more than 2 things, but yeah.
First of all, Greedo has already got him and cornered him, right? Greedo's got his gun on the table. Yes. He could pull the trigger at any second.
Yes.
And the way the conversation goes, it comes to a natural point where you're like, all right, someone's going to die here.
Someone has to shoot first.
Right.
Yeah.
And Han's character that...
He's a smuggler.
Right.
He's hardened from his life of smuggling.
Han that
It doesn't mean he doesn't have, quote, virtues or
this
that
is
he can't
interesting
be
though.
soft.
Han in the movies, I don't know if it's really established that he's like a super badass smuggler dude.
Smuggler.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could argue that's more of an expanded universe Han. That's kind of takes little moments in the movies and like develops, who Han is.
But even in A New Hope, I mean, he's skeptical about everything. He doesn't believe in really anything. He's just very pessimistic about everything. He's hanging out in that crappy cantina. I mean, it's a seedy place, and he does seedy business. You don't really have like a stand-up guy doing that. And
no, I'm not saying he's
like,
a stand-up guy. I'm just saying
it's not that he can't have virtues, and we see him grow into having beliefs and virtues and helping. But I mean, at that point, and with his job, he has to be ruthless, or he's going to be killed or arrested, or sent to the
right. That's kind of my point. I mean, Han is the kind of guy who is going to just run out shooting into a place. You know?
And
he does that in the Death Star. I mean, running after the stormtroopers. He's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I just that explanation makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
As to who Han actually is in the movies.
And even when I saw that and like realized what happened with the scene change, as even as younger, it didn't really change my thought that Han was a badass or not. It didn't make me feel that he was softer because he didn't shoot first. I never got that out of that.
It made me
change.
feel that he was kind of sloppy. It
made me think Greedo was a really horrible bounty hunter.
He had his gun
3 feet from a dude and you miss.
And you hit like way to the right of his head or whatever.
Yeah, it goes really wide. That's all
that
I got
shot.
out
That
of
bolt
it.
like even goes above his head, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
how do you have your gun pointed in such a weird angle that you can't hit a guy
It's those crazy
a
bug
yard
eyes.
from you?
Those crazy bug eyes with all the facets on them. You can't really see which direction he actually is.
It was his like vinyl trash bag suit that he was wearing. His orange
Orange
trash
pucker vest.
bag.
Yeah. So that was
so
a
frustrating to
horrible Lucas
read that.
explanation of why he did it.
And not to mention, he had already written and like Return of the Jedi and everything was already out when he went back and did the special edition.
Oh yeah, he was basically done with the original trilogy.
He had already established Han's character already.
Yeah.
When he did all this.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand why you would go back and just change something like that.
Yeah.
That's so core to a character.
And that he still believes what he did was right.
Lucas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has enough money, he can believe whatever he wants, but just that explanation of, John Wayne doesn't shoot first.
And Han does not strike me as like a John Wayne type character.
And even that, like him explaining it away as he wouldn't be a cold-blooded killer. That's not really killing in cold blood. It's a Mexican standoff. You've both got guns.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's nothing cold-blooded about that. It's either
that guy is here to either enslave you or kill you on the spot.
Yeah.
I mean,
nothing was out of cold blood.
Right. Not to mention, even if Greedo was going to take him alive, he's going to take him back to Jabba, who's probably going to kill him anyway. Or something bad is going to happen to him there. So, yeah, I just
his explanation about all of it just doesn't make sense.
I guess we had to get into the Han shoots first.
At some point. I mean, it's
debate.
The oldest Star Wars debate, but the fact that Lucas finally chimed in after all these years.
That's just so...
Yeah, so that was crappy.
Frustrating.
So moving on to Star Wars Aftermath.
Yeah.
It was a really good book. I know you started reading it, but you haven't finished.
I haven't finished yet, but I mean, I think I'm about, a third of the way through it right now.
Yeah, it got a lot of hate when it first came out, the writing style and things like that.
I don't understand why. I like it.
It took me maybe a couple chapters. At first, it was a little jarring, just the way the writing style is, because he writes in various, third, first person. He's kind of a little all over the place. So at first, you have to kind of get into it and get into the flow of how it's written. But once after a couple chapters, I thought it was really well written.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then after reading the whole book, it and this may sound bad, and I don't mean it bad, but reading it felt like watching a really, really good arc of the Clone Wars TV show.
Yeah.
Like it's very
well. I know
there's a lot of visual detail that I can just see in that art style, and in like the really good like 90-minute like movie, like Clone Wars movie type thing.
Yeah, and I think the Clone Wars is the only official, like really drawn out, character focused kind of Star Wars thing that we have.
So probably the closest thing we can relate it to.
Except for comics, I mean, there have been comics before, but actual entertainment, not entertainment. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're trying to say. Media.
Yeah, media. That's a good word for it. But yeah, it's the only kind of drawn out, not rushed with this huge story. Like you could actually each episode is kind of relaxed, and you can get into really fine-grained details of characters
and the way it's written
and stuff.
too is it jumps. There's a couple different like parties throughout the book. You've got some various characters that it jumps between, and then they kind of form into various parties that it jumps between.
Okay.
As people join up. But
how far into the book does it do that? The party forming?
Halfway, less than halfway, maybe.
Okay, so not quite where I've gotten to yet. Then,
so with the Imperial people, it basically starts out with them grouping together, with them like getting together for a meeting to kind of discuss the future of the Empire. And then before that, with that, you've got a couple different. It really starts out very fractured with characters. Like you've got a character here, you don't know what they're doing. You've got Wedge over here, you don't know what he's doing really. Yeah. You've got this other character that, who is that and why am I even reading this chapter about this person? Because they have nothing to do with what's going on right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you've got this bounty hunter who showed up on the planet where the Imperials were and decides to go after them.
Well, pretty early on, it draws a connection between... Well, we're going to talk about this book, so if you don't want to...
If you want to read Aftermath and don't want anything spoiled, then probably skip
the rest of the podcast, I guess. But tune in for the... where we give out our Twitter handle and tell us,
at the very end,
tell you guys to give us a review.
Give out them sweet deets.
Yes, every episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a pretty early on they draw a connection between that bounty hunter and this kind of random like Imperial loyalty or ex-Imperial loyalty officer guy.
Used to be an Imperial loyalty officer
on whatever the planet is.
Akiva.
Akiva. Yeah, I always forget the name of the planet.
Yeah, it turns out he was on Endor during the Battle of Endor.
Right.
Killed a rebel, stole his clothes.
Well, he was there with the Imperials.
Yeah, he was an Imperial loyalty officer.
With the garrison there, yeah. And
saw the tides were turning, killed a rebel, took his clothes, and then just became a rebel and said, I'm a rebel, and got through the battle, and then went and ran away and hid on Akiva, basically.
Right. Well, isn't he working for the rebels or the New Republic actively?
No, he's just hiding out on Akiva, just getting drunk every day at that bar.
Okay, because where I am in the book right now, there's this informant.
Yes.
That I don't know who it is yet. Obviously, you know who it is.
We're gonna
people who have read the book. We're going to
talk about this book, and Michael's agreed to let me say stuff about it, and he's going to get spoiled. But it's good stuff to read.
Okay. Are you going to tell me who this informant is? Because I kind of don't want to know that part, because it seems pretty core.
It's pretty important to the future of the canon, I think.
Really?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, sorry. you agreed prior.
All right, so I'm going to hear it.
We'll get into that. But yeah, so you've got these characters. You've got that ex-Imperial loyalty officer, Sinjir.
Yeah.
You've got Kaz, who's the bounty hunter. You've got Nora Wexley, who was...
she's a pilot
for the Gold Squadron.
Yeah, for the New Republic.
She was one of the Y-Wings flying through the Death Star with the Millennium Falcon.
Right. She was the Y-Wing that you see flying out.
Yeah, she draws off some ties and flies out. You've got Wedge.
Do you see that in the movies? I can't remember now.
You see those Y-Wings in there with them. I don't know if you see it draw the ties.
I can't remember. Okay, maybe. All right.
You've got Wedge, who stumbled upon this Imperial meeting on Akiva. And then you've got...
Wedge, who was out on just like a reconnaissance.
Yeah, he's just been flying around basically on a, cushy mission just to get away from everything.
Yeah.
Just kind of flying around seeing if he happens upon anything.
Right.
And he happens upon the biggest Imperial meeting that's...
And then he spends like almost a third of the book on a hospital bed, basically, like a portable hospital bed.
He's pretty much out of the entire book as far as being involved much.
Huh, that's crazy.
But he's there. And Wedge and Nora know each other, obviously,
He's just
from fighting.
the MacGuffin of the plot. He just moves the plot forward for the...
A little bit.
Basically, just he's the only reason Nora wants to get involved, right?
Yeah, because Nora and him, fought together in all the battles. And then you've got Nora's son, Timon, who's on Akiva as well, because Akiva ended up being Nora's home planet, and she was going back to get her son.
Right. The guy with Mr. Bones.
Mr. Bones is the best Star Wars character that I have found out about in the longest time.
I really hope we get to see him animated at some point.
So, I mean, this has nothing of importance other than Mr. Bones is amazing. So he's a repurposed battle droid. Yes, episode 1, crappy, stupid battle droids. He says Roger, Roger all the time.
Yeah, which makes it so much better.
But Timon, being a tinkerer of things and builder of things, he has made Mr. Bones a very adept killing machine.
Doesn't he have some kind of weird arm or something?
He has a vibro blade on one arm that he can just spin at full speed, rushing into stormtroopers. And it goes into some detail with Mr. Bones fighting and just stormtrooper helmets and heads flying and him coming back covered in blood. Mr. Bones, he's called Mr. Bones because he has various like creature and human bones like dangling off of him.
All right.
Just like bones rattling on him. At one point, Mr. Bones loses an arm, and they replace it with an astromech leg, and he just spins that at full speed as a bludgeoning device. And the best thing about Mr. Bones is he randomly hums songs and does dance moves because part of his programming is basically stripper dancing, like you see the Twi'leks dancing and Jabba's palace. Some of that's programmed into Mr. Bones so that he's a little more agile and stuff like that. So his programming, he is the funniest part of the book. Everything Mr. Bones does is the best. But that aside, so you've got really
he's like a legitimately funny Star Wars character.
He reminds me of that old humor of C-3PO and R2-D2 from the films. It feels like it just really feels like that droid humor. Like you've got.
Oh, what you mean natural?
Character. Yeah,
natural.
It feels it's got good humor. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that also makes it feel like it could be a movie or a TV show. It's very built towards that.
It does feel very Star Wars,
very
real Star Wars.
It does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because another reason that makes it feel like a film or TV show is between each chapter, there's interludes. That's just like, hey, let's go to this planet, and here's a little quick chapter on something that's happening in the galaxy. And sometimes it happens to be there's one in Cloud City with something going on there.
Oh, nice.
There's one on Tatooine with something going on there, which I'll get into some stuff with some of those. So there's little vignettes around the galaxy, just showing stuff that's happening that may be important later on, or it could just be something interesting that's happening in the universe.
Right.
The main thing with the Imperials getting together is they basically get together to decide what's going to happen to us.
Yeah.
You've got this new character. She's a fleet admiral, Admiral Ray Sloan.
She's in command of the last Executor class Super Star Destroyer.
We are told that she is the admiral of the Ravager, the last fleet and Super Star Destroyer.
Oh, great!
Oh yeah, we'll get into some more of that, buddy. So she is the admiral of the remaining Super Star Destroyer fleet. You've got a guy who was a Moff, who just after the war decided he was a Grand Moff. Now he just threw on a badge and called himself Grand Moff Pindion, and decided he's a Grand Moff now. He's super pissed at Rey and wants them to all get all their Star Destroyers together and go fight the New Republic in a big war, which isn't going to work.
Right.
You've got Yup Tashu, who was he was one of the Palpatine's closest advisors. You've got
that's right. He was the guy who he was really educated in Sith art and culture and history.
I've got some details from him in a minute.
Okay.
And then you've got I cannot remember her name at the moment. She was an older lady who was also kind of close to the Emperor. Who was almost
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I don't remember her name now.
And then you've got a banker dude because they're trying to get together and decide what to do and where to go.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff that goes on with them and their decisions is really important to the future of the Empire in the universe. And some things with them, they have some pretty interesting discussions. But there's throughout the book, I bookmarked some areas where I thought it was really canonically important to the future of Star Wars, both in the books and something that's probably happened in between now and the film, in between the books and the film.
Right.
Part of which we've discussed prior about so what happens with the New Republic's army? What happens with the military? Why is there this resistance and not the New Republic fighting against the First Order?
Yeah.
So something with there's one of those little interludes is with Mon Mothma.
Yeah, I read this. Mon Mothma lands on a planet where the New Republic recently won a battle with Imperials.
Yeah, and she has her 2 advisors with her. It kind of describes them as, the angel and demon on her shoulder.
Yeah.
Because they kind of fight amongst each other with their decisions. And she's like showing them, like, this is the cost of the battle because there's dead people everywhere and everyone's like they have like a line for soup because no one has food. Like, this is the cost of the war that we're trying to fight for better, but our fighting is also making things worse for planets too.
Right.
So part of what she goes through and what her idea is, she's best. This is, I'm going to directly quote and cut out some parts of what she said, but she says, I'm not a military leader. I am the leader of the Senate. So she's the head of the Senate now. And if we're going to attract more worlds and convince them to return to this process, it must not seem to be under threat. The Army and Navy will continue for a time, but not under my leadership. At this point, Admiral Akbar is still in charge of the military and the Navy.
Right.
It is vital we demilitarize our government so that a galactic war cannot happen like this again. I will today put up a vote that resolves to cut out military presence by 90% once we are able to officially confirm an end to this war. Democracy is not in need of defense. People are. And it's why we will keep the 10%, a peacekeeping force. The rest of our efforts will go toward training militaries of other worlds. If we're going to ask anyone to fight for us, they need to know what they're fighting for. And they will fight for a unified, democratic galaxy. Regarding earlier history, we will put safeguards in place. We will move forward smarter this time. Basically not what the Empire did, with getting too powerful and then
stockpiling military and stuff. Yeah.
So apparently her plan is to cut their military by 90%.
Right.
So probably by the time the First Order shows up, they probably don't have much to fight back.
Right.
Wherever this First Order is originating from, wherever their origin is.
So it's like we were saying, where it's either this is kind of a secret offshoot of the New Republic that, because of how the military is seen within the New Republic, they have to kind of secretly, send these people away.
Yeah.
Or it's like a coalition of people within the New Republic who are like, hey, the New Republic isn't doing anything. We need to form our own group and go after the First Order.
Yeah, like it could be, Mon Mothma could be like, hey, I made this promise that we're not going to have a military.
So we're not going to do anything.
Force, so I need you to go do this, but you can't be a part of the Republic, and we can't recognize you as such.
Right.
Or like you said, it could just be people that would be like, Mothma won't let us. We're just going to have to break off and do our own thing to protect the galaxy.
Right. I'm trying to reconcile that with how Leia is. Like, would Leia break off from the New Republic? Or because she was very supportive of the democratic process. So, I don't know. I
mean, it may depend on what happens with Mothma and how strongly she opposes, because obviously the First Order is a lot bigger force than I think anyone's expecting to happen.
Yeah.
And, Mon Mothma may just not be seeing it or not wanting to do anything and saying, hey, we'll
it could have been
all come together, but no one's coming together because they're so scared of this force or something.
It could have been like I was saying where, these people just come out of nowhere. Like they've just been hiding and stockpiling for a while. And then really, just show up in full force.
Yeah, and that comes with what I was about to mention next, that character I mentioned of Yup Tashu.
Yeah.
He's like I said, he's a human who he served as one of Emperor Palpatine's closest advisors. He wasn't a Force user, but he's basically a historian of the Force, of the dark side, and he's like a Sith cultist. Everyone at the Imperial meeting on Akiva hates him. They're all just like, shut up, stop talking about the Force and the Sith, and everything is, that's all crap. He's just always like, well, if Emperor Palpatine was still around and we would just listen to the Force and then decide what to do, and everyone's like, shut up. But he has some interesting information regarding the Emperor. Again, quoting some stuff that happened with him, is he was saying, no Sith remain, and the lone Jedi that exists possesses an untouchable soul, whatever that means, at least for now. We must instead move toward the dark side. Palpatine felt that the universe beyond the edges of our maps was where his power came from. Over many years, he, with our aid, sent men and women beyond known space. They built labs and communication stations and on distant moons, asteroids, out there in the wilds.
Interesting.
So apparently the emperors felt some draw of the Force outside of our known galaxy map, sent people out there on reconnaissance missions, built labs. We don't know what they've been doing. We don't know what kind of force they've been building.
Right.
We don't know what's out there, or powerful force coming from out there, Snoke, Plagueis, something stronger in the universe.
Yeah.
So it could be that the First Order has been built not even in the same universe, or in the same galaxy,
off of the known maps, I guess.
Yeah, something way past the Outer Rim.
Right.
Maybe possibly in the same galaxy, but maybe not.
Interesting. This next bit about Wedge is what's really interesting.
Yes. So Wedge, Yoop is in charge of torturing Wedge basically for information when they captured him.
Right.
And Wedge is talking to him, and Yoop says, "Did you know that Sith Lords could sometimes drain the Force energy from their captives, siphoning life from them and using it to strengthen their connection to the dark side, extending their own lives as well, so that they could live for centuries beyond their intended expiration." Centuries.
Interesting.
Beyond.
So
that's more Plagueis stuff, man.
Plagueis just existing forever.
It could. I mean, it could not be the actual character of Plagueis, but it could be some dark lord that, like Plagueis, was into that same trying of like life force, surviving forever type thing.
Right.
Maybe that's what Snoke is. Maybe he's just been around out in the out of the known maps, way beyond, just existing, waiting for his time, basically.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's so, and Yoop was really trying to get them to go out of the galaxy to
find these
people and see what they've learned, and do that. That was kind of his agenda. So maybe that's where the First Order comes from. Maybe that's where Snoke comes from.
Maybe, yeah.
I think there's a little more to do with that. The most important point at the very end of the book in the epilogue, which I'll mention last.
Great.
But before that, we've also got some mention of Darth Vader's lightsaber, supposedly. So there's a little interlude where there's a guy, he's a Kubaz, and he's selling them a red-bladed lightsaber. He's selling it to two people in black robes, which we don't see, and a young woman who's pale and hunched over. It's a red lightsaber, and they're like, "Are you sure this is his lightsaber?" And he's like, "It's red. Whose else would it be?"
Right.
So there's no way to confirm or deny that it's Vader's. But so the woman refers to themselves, her and the hooded figures, as acolytes of the beyond.
Interesting.
And
is this? I wonder if this is the beyond, like the Palpatine beyond.
Yeah, like out there in the universe. And he asked her, he's like, "Are you guys going to hurt me?" type thing. And she said, "We're not violent, not yet." And then when he asked them what they were going to do with the lightsaber, because they did take it, buy it from him.
Right.
She said they're going to destroy it so that can be returned to its master in death. So they're wanting to destroy the lightsaber to send it to Vader into the beyond, and whatever. So
they're Vader obsessed.
They're Vader obsessed. They're
Interesting.
a Vader obsessed group.
Sounds familiar.
From the beyond, because the term acolyte is like a believer, like a follower of.
Right.
So people from the beyond, they're going to destroy Vader's lightsaber. If they did destroy it, and Kylo uses that crystal from a destroyed lightsaber, maybe that's why his lightsaber's so crappy.
Maybe, yeah. Or at least maybe parts from Vader's saber. Yeah.
So yeah, there's like little stuff like that. Like even the little interlude on Tatooine. There's some mention of Boba Fett, at least his armor, not him specifically.
Yeah.
There's a little scene with a Jawa sandcrawler, and a guy is looking for, their good products, their back room, and another guy shows up and was like, I deal with them a lot. I can get you back there.
Yeah.
And they find a box of a full suit of acid-pocked Mandalorian armor.
Yes.
On Tatooine.
Oh, yes.
The guys fight about who gets it, basically, who's going to buy it, and one guy shoots the other guy and takes it, basically. The guy calls himself the new sheriff of Tatooine.
Interesting.
His name, I have it written down. His name is Cobb Vanth. He's the self-appointed sheriff of Tatooine, and he leaves with a full suit of Boba Fett armor, basically, from a sandcrawler on Tatooine. So I think we mentioned this on the podcast before, but what has been mentioned about Boba Fett is maybe it's more like It's a mantra. It's not Boba Fett. The actual Boba Fett we knew is dead.
Yeah.
What if it's now just a mantra? It's just name only. This guy's going to have his armor, but he's going to be known and feared as Boba Fett, just like in The Princess Bride. You've got the guy with the man in black. I can't remember his name.
I don't know. I hate that movie.
Yeah, I me too. But so there's always a Boba Fett. Just whoever has the armor is.
Maybe
Boba
a better
Fett.
way to put it would be like the Green Lantern for Earth.
Whoever has the ring is the Green Lantern.
Yeah.
The same thing with Boba Fett. So this new Cobb Vanth guy, Sheriff of Tatooine, may be our new Boba Fett.
Interesting.
But yeah, there's like cool stuff like that. But
or like Batman now, apparently.
Batman. Don't get me started on Batman.
Have you read any of the new Batman comics?
A little bit. It's not
after Jim has taken on the.
I don't like it.
Yeah, that's really weird.
It's weird. It's nothing to do with Star Wars, but just like with Spider-Man, there's that whole Spider-Man series that Doc Ock is Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. Did you read the one where Gerard Way wrote, where it was like Spider-Man in the future, and it was like a young girl?
No.
In like a mech suit, basically.
Interesting.
Spider-Man was like a mech suit, almost
really
like
cool.
A robot. Yeah, it was pretty interesting, but
he writes good stuff.
It was very, very different.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'll have to find that. So what I've alluded to this whole time with the supposed Admiral Ray Sloan.
Oh, great.
And supposedly she's in charge of this last remaining fleet and Super Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
So at the end of in the last chapter of the book.
Yeah.
And you're going to get spoiled, and anyone listening to this that hasn't read is going to get spoiled, but I don't care. This is awesome. So you've got this Grand Moff Pandion.
So let's just say now, this is a major, major spoiler.
This is something big coming up with the books and in between canon of what we know of in aftermath to The Force Awakens. I think this is going to be a very important character.
So if you want to know, and I don't really want to know, but it's kind of too late for me.
Yes.
So save yourself.
You're stuck here recording on a podcast that you're a co-host of. So Ray Sloan and Pandion are escaping on a Lambda-class shuttle. And when he's trying to...
From where?
From Akiva.
Okay. All right, that's fine. That's fine.
One of their Star Destroyers, too. They're trying to get the heck out of Dodge.
Okay, all right.
Because there's a space battle happening.
Okay, whatever.
Stuff happens.
Okay.
So anyways, he snuck onto the ship. She didn't know he was there. And he shows up and has a gun and is like, you will take me to the Ravager and I will take control of it. Yeah. The Super Star Destroyer is mine. Right. She's like, you don't even know what you're talking about. And she grabs the controls of the ship and spins it so that he falls over, and she jumps up, punches him in the chest, grabs the blaster and shoots him in the stomach. Jeez. Super badass. But
are they still in the atmosphere? How would he fall over from...
Because
if they're in space and there's artificial gravity, why would he...
He lost his footing, whatever. So she's like, you don't even know what you're talking about. She's
I have a problem with that.
Well, we'll get into the physics of Star Wars later, since nothing that happens with any of the ships should be happening anyways. The fact that TIEs can fly in atmosphere doesn't even make sense. But she's like, you don't even know the first thing. She's like, I don't have control over that. And, I'm paraphrasing. She's like, I don't have control over. He's like, what do you mean? She's like, she's like, I lied. And he's like, you said he was dead. She basically says he's not. And then she pushes him out of the cockpit and closes the door. She pushes him out of the cockpit, closes the door, and then I don't know if I didn't remember this about Lambda class shuttles. Just a cool fact about Lambda class Imperial shuttles. Yeah. Apparently that front little cockpit is the escape pod.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That blasts off the rest of the ship. So she pushes him out of the cockpit and basically jettisons their cockpit escape pod and blows up the rest of the ship. So Pandion's dead, sorry.
I think that sounds familiar from, I had an old Blueprints ships book. Okay. Back in the day, 2002 or something like that.
So she gets away.
Sounds familiar.
And there's an epilogue at the end of the book. Right. What she says to Pandion, she says, Ravager is not the last weapon, and I don't control it. He's not dead. And she's starting to think that everything that happened on Akiva was all part of his plan. That he knew everything that happened would happen. Very Thrawn-esque. But she said, so there's this... So great. So, like you said, there was... Admiral Akbar was getting communication from an insider of the Imperials. Yeah. I can't remember the code name they used, but someone was giving them information. Right. Akbar had no idea who it was, but everything they had been telling them was true.
Yeah.
And so they were trusting this person.
Right.
So, in the epilogue, Ray is back on the Ravager and staring out of the window at the glowing Vulpinus Nebula is the Fleet Admiral. Not Ray. Ray's not the Fleet Admiral. We've been lied to the entire time. She's been lying to all the other Imperials the entire time that she's the Fleet Admiral.
She's just serving this.
She's doing something. I mean, obviously she's an Admiral type, but she is not the Fleet Admiral.
Yeah.
His hands are behind his back. He's humming a little something classical. Something from the Old Republic days. And he's very eloquent. He reminds me so much of Thrawn in just the way he talks. You know, she's like, "Sir," and he holds up a finger, just a sign for patience, and he continues humming as he holds up his finger. And his head's swaying until he reaches a crescendo, and then without turning towards her, he lowers his finger, and he's like, "Yes, Admiral Sloane." She's like, "Something I've been wanting to ask you." It's like, "You may always speak frankly with me. You know, please go ahead." Oh, mic problems.
Smacking the mic.
Oh, yeah. So he's like, "You know, please go ahead."
Getting excited over here.
She's like, "That summit we had on Akiva." He's like, "Oh, dreadful thing." She's like, "It didn't go as planned, though now I'm not really sure." You know, I'm paraphrasing, you know, "Did you plan for it to go that way?"
Yeah.
And he just smiles and he's like, "Explain." She's like, "I've been thinking about everything that happened. I've just been thinking everything happened so fast, like faster than it should have happened, like with people finding out we were there and the rebels knowing."
Yeah.
She's like, Did we have someone in our midst who summoned the rebels to show up there?" She's like, "I went and looked I found a communication from the Ravager on an encrypted channel on the ship that sent out what appears to be to a rebel frequency."
So he's telling the rebels?
So this actual fleet admiral of the last Super Star Destroyer fleet is apparently this rebel intel that they don't know that he's just playing them totally.
Jeez. Wow.
And he's like, "Enlighten me. You know, why would I have cause to do that?" She's like, "I've been thinking about it. I would guess to eliminate the competition," speaking, you know, talking about herself and the, you know, Grand Moff and all those. He's like,
I see.
"Interesting theory." She's like, "I'm more interested to know if I'm accurate." And he's like, he said, "It was a test. She's like, "I could have died there." And he's like, "But that didn't happen. You weren't captured. You remain alive. You were my best and my brightest, and that is why you passed the test. I need people like you." She's like, "If I didn't pass," and he's like, "Well, then you wouldn't have been my best and brightest." You know, everyone else failed, and you passed, which makes me, you know, trust you basically. And
so
they're standing on the bridge, you know, looking out at the nebula in the center of their galaxy, and he's like, "This is no longer our galaxy." She's like, "We haven't lost yet." And he said, "Oh, but we have. I see the dismay in your eyes. This is no cause for despair. This is how it must be. The Empire became this ugly and elegant machine, crude and inefficient. We need to be broken into pieces. We need to get rid of those who want to see the old machine churning ineluctably forward. It's time for something better, something new, an empire worthy of the galaxy it will rule." Yeah.
Wow.
So there's this very eloquent, very calm, very tactical, because he knew all this was going to happen. It reminds me so much of Thrawn from the books.
Yeah.
Now, obviously it's probably too far in the past for this to be like anyone like Hux or anyone from The Force Awakens, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be Snoke. We don't know his name. We just know he's the actual fleet admiral that no one knows about.
I don't know, 7 foot tall, really skinny guy.
It doesn't mention what he looks like. It mentions nothing about him other than it's a he, and we hear him, you know, speak this.
Now Hux, that's an interesting idea.
But Hux is a general. He's a general. He's not a fleet
Oh, that's
admiral.
right. And it says he's kind of young.
Yeah.
And this is a good probably 20 years after Aftermath, right?
So we've got this fleet admiral that reminds me, you know, like I said, just so much of Thrawn from the books. If he planned this, like the entire book, everything that happened was just a setup by him to
reintroduce Thrawn,
get people out of his way, to make sure who was on his side was on his side.
Yeah.
And to make sure he basically had the rebels, you know, the New Republic, basically in the palm of his hand.
Or is it that he's an actual New Republic informant and just doesn't want to blow his cover?
I highly doubt that.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because of the stuff about the Empire he was saying?
And like when he was saying, you know, this is not our galaxy.
Yeah,
you know,
he's
basically like, we've lost, we need to rebuild and be different, which is
First
really
Order,
the First
basically,
Order.
yeah.
But this is not our galaxy, even more so, like
Like there are
we
people
going to
out
go
there.
go back to our actual galaxy where we're rebuilding and where we're going to come back from?
Yeah.
But yeah, that just like that, it's the epilogue. It's like the last 4 pages of the book after you've gone through the entire story, and it's just like, oh wait, by the way, that's not the fleet admiral. Yeah. There's an actual fleet admiral. He's a total badass that's been playing everyone, including the Imperials.
Yeah.
Thrawn, basically everyone was Thrawn's pawn.
Okay. That's awesome.
So it reminds me of that, and it's again, just feels like Star Wars. It feels like Tarkin, like Thrawn. Like it feels like that very elegant admiral that just has everyone in the palm of his hand and can do whatever he wants and knows how everything's going to play out.
But then I guess that doesn't explain how they lost so badly on Jakku.
No.
You know?
I mean, we've got 2 more books to the Aftermath series.
Right.
So we'll find out more of this, obviously. So it's very much a good build-up to what's going to happen.
Something... I was, I've got Star Wars Battlefront and been playing that. Yeah. The Jakku map for that came out recently. And there's a small blurb about Jakku where it mentions the Imperials had a weapons facility on it. I didn't know that.
On Jakku?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I didn't know that before. And that's why that was kind of the final stand.
Okay.
Because either the New Republic ambushed them and attacked this place, or the Imperials just showed up there with a huge force.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what happened there, but they've got a facility on the planet. So there was some kind of presence on Jakku there. And I think Jakku's in the Outer Rim, maybe?
There's a little interlude of Jakku in Aftermath near the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It has nothing to do with anyone we really care about that I know of. There's just one character who went to Jakku to get away from his wife and his child were killed in a fight between the New Republic and the Empire. And he's just trying to start new, but he wanted to go somewhere where nothing ever happens. I don't want to be anywhere where anyone's going to try to bother the planet or there be a war again.
Well, buddy.
And so he gets to Jakku, and the bartender's like, "Oh yeah, nothing ever happens on Jakku. This is why would you ever come here? Nothing ever happens here." And that's the whole gist of that little interlude is nothing happens on Jakku. Wink.
Well,
a little bit of a setup on that one, but so I mean, obviously, if whoever's listened to this. If you want to read Aftermath, I still fully suggest it. There's a lot of good stuff in that book, but it even more it sets up that canon of just a little enough of what the EU felt like.
Yeah.
Like that admiral that feels like Thrawn.
Yeah.
You've got, just these little pieces that still feel like the canon I knew and loved.
Yeah.
But a little different.
That's awesome.
So it really made me more hopeful for the new book canon and the in-between of the in between the original trilogy and the new movies.
I don't think they would bring Thrawn back.
Probably not. A Thrawn-esque character is just as good to me as Thrawn was awesome, but it doesn't have to be actually Thrawn. But this guy feels like Thrawn,
right? And
that was such a good story.
And it's someone who is pretty well known and respected, according to how this Moff reacted to him being still.
His reaction was, "But you said he was dead."
Right.
He was dead. I didn't have to worry about him, type thing.
I wonder if it's Admiral Piet or somebody.
That'd be weird. I don't know if he'd be that. Piet never seemed that.
Piet was on.
Never seemed that eloquent like that.
No, I guess not.
That powerful.
He rose through the ranks pretty quickly, though.
Yeah.
But he was on Darth Vader's executor.
Yeah. Or it could just be Tarkin. Tarkin never died.
He was on the Death Star. He was definitely on the Death Star.
I just love Tarkin. But yeah, it's just that it feels like what I want. It feels like what I want it to feel like.
Yeah.
I want more of it, which is good for the books. I was afraid that it wouldn't feel that way,
Right. That would be kind of cool if it was Piet and he somehow got off the executor before it was completely obliterated.
Maybe.
But
I'm fine.
The movies,
someone we don't know.
The movie kind of makes it pretty clear that he was there, and then it just kind of crashed into the Death Star.
Yeah. So yeah, Aftermath was great. Definitely read it, and I think it's setting up some good in between canon.
Okay.
From the movies.
Really I'm definitely gonna read it. I've really enjoyed just how real it feels.
Yeah.
So far,
Yeah. And yeah, it kind of sets up that more adventures will be happening at the end, other than just having that Admiral, the stuff with Nora and Wedge and all that. It sets up that there's going to be some more stuff that they're going to do.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to the next books.
Nice. Yeah. Do you have any idea when those are coming out?
I think
is Chuck writing them?
I think one a year. I think he is writing both of them. I know. I think he's at least writing the next one.
Okay.
But I think it's one a year. So I think one next year sometime. I think mid-year.
Okay.
And then one following year.
I still need to read Lords of the Sith too.
Yeah, there's a lot of the books I need to read.
That was released in I think October.
Yeah.
And I've had that on my Kindle for a while now and just still haven't done anything with it.
I'll have to go on another vacation to read a book.
Pretty much. Well, I think that's all we've got to talk about for this episode.
An extra long podcast for us taking forever to get one out.
Yeah.
Trying to get everything out of our system so that we are completely blank slate for the movie.
Pretty much.
Obviously, the movie comes out on a Thursday. We'll be seeing it on a Thursday, so that would have been our regularly scheduled episode day.
Yeah.
We'll try to record some stuff in line.
I think so. I've been trying to figure out how we're going to do that. We'll figure something out. Like
it may not sound great, and it may just be recording onto an iPhone.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
us just huddled over.
If anything happens or if anything, we'll probably record. I think we'll record probably some from the line. But I think I definitely want to give like an initial reaction like right after the movie.
Yeah.
Just like that crazy fanboy, like, holy crap, we just saw Star Wars. This is what I feel about this. This is all the spoilers. Don't listen to this if you don't want to hear about the movie, but we're going to spoil it because we just saw it. Oh my gosh. And then,
that would be nice.
And then take some time to think about it and then like record the full episode.
We'll be pretty beat by then. Being out there for like 12 hours.
Out there for 12 hours before seeing the movie.
Yeah. And then seeing the movie for over 2 hours, right? And then
it's going to be a long time. But yeah, we'll get something out probably the weekend the movie comes out, I think.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Probably by that Monday, I would hope.
Yeah.
The Monday after the movie.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe a Saturday episode.
Yeah.
Or Monday, just to let all you guys...
Make sure everyone sees it over the weekend.
Yeah, see... You have no excuse. If you're listening to this, you're going to see that movie over the weekend.
We'll give you a warning at the beginning of the episode, but I'm giving you one now, too. Our next episode will be about the movie.
And we'll have everything.
In full detail. And we're not going to hold back.
Well, so as much as our tired little lizard brains can get out after we've seen it.
We'll give those impressions, and then we'll actually give it a day to recoup and then maybe record like the actual episode. But so next episode will be the full of spoiler episode, so deal with it. But that's it for this one. You can send us an email at hokeyreligionpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at hokey_religion.
That's about it.
That's pretty much it.
Please review us on iTunes. I see we do have a few more reviews, which is good.
Yeah, we do. So thank you for those that have done it. The Google Play podcast portal is not open yet.
Yeah, still not out
still
yet.
waiting for it to tell me that it's up. But our podcast is ready. So once it goes live, all our episodes will be there.
Yep.
You can find us on other places like Stitcher and all that.
But who cares?
But who uses those? So, looking forward to the movie and next episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. A week from now.
Yep. 6 days from right now, we will, as of recording, 6 days from
Let's see, as of right now, we'll be getting out
yes.
of the movie. So we'll have seen the movie.
We will be emotionally and physically broken. We will be husks of people.
Just have dried tears all over our faces.
We will be shriveled.
This is sad. This is really sad.
This is our life. This is our Hokey religion.
Oh, tied it all together.
That's it. All right. Well, this has been Tyler.
This is Michael.
See ya.
See ya.
Hokey Religion is an ancient weapon. Weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side.
Old dudes are always trying to screw ladies.